I think we're going to start the meeting now, even the people still coming in, because we don't want it too long. The management have been here all day and they have given us a good time, but we need to get going, so just get in. And you might all turn off your mobile phones unless you're on call. And I'm going to introduce our chairman, who is Christy Highland. He was our town councillor, now he's a county councillor, and he's the chairman of the Municipal District Council for West Mayo. And Neil O'Neill is the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and these two gentlemen know the facts, as you know in public, and will be able to help you, and they're going to tell you what they know and what we can think about for this meeting. And it's great to see you all. Well done coming. Okay, Christy is your chairman, and he's going to conduct the meeting fairly smoothly and briefly, and everybody who wants to speak can speak.
Thank you, Shirley, and ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome here this evening, and it's fantastic to see such a crowd. I was here at about 7 o'clock, and I was getting worried, to be honest, but it's fantastic to see such a great turnout, and the interest there is here. It's great, and you're all welcome. I'm just going to say a few words, and I'll be calling on Neil O'Neill then to say a few words after that, and then we'll open it up to the floor. Just from my own point of view and from the council's point of view, there was a report carried out commissioned by the Mayo County Council. It's called the Economic Impact Study, and that report was released about 2 weeks ago. Very informative report, and it's available online on the Mayo County Council website if any of you want to have a look at it. Just to tell you from the historical importance and the economic importance of Westport House, many of you here, I don't have to tell you about that, and you know all about it, but just to give you a few facts, that for every visitor to Westport House, and get into the economics, every visitor the service stated spends €193 per day. Now that 193 is not necessarily all spent in Westport House. Service states it's spent in the region and in the town and in the area. So spent on having your lunch or whatever, or going to a convenience store for your diesel, or having your pay for your accommodation. That's €193 per day. It's also stated in the report that Westport House helps to generate in the region of €50 million in the region. So when we think about Westport and West Mayo and Mayo, and maybe I am a little bit biased, I'm here in West Mayo along with my other councillors in the district, that one of the main driving engines, tourism, Westport House is trying to, as I said about Muckross House down in Killarney, what Muckross is to Killarney, Westport House is to us. And you all aware recently there, over the past number of years, where the new entrance opened at the back of the White Hotel. That was during the time of the town council and the family all working together, which brought the house nearer to the town. That you can walk up Bridge Street or just strolling around the Octagon, go down the back of the White Hotel, and you're in Westport House. And there are areas regarding where we are at the moment that I do not wish to comment on. I was at a meeting yesterday along with other councillors who were here, and Councillor Maguire, Councillor Rice here, and Councillor Chambers. Forgive me if Michael Holmes is here. And it was outlined to us by the county manager. The talks are ongoing. They're at a delicate stage between the county manager and the department and NAMA. I do not want to state anything here tonight that may damage those talks, and I have no intention of doing that. I'm hoping that we might have news at the end of the week or next week as to where we are. But on that, I would urge us all just to be careful what we say, and to repeat myself, it's fantastic, And it sends out a message here this evening. When I see the crowd here, it sends out a fantastic message on behalf of our town, on behalf of Westport House, with the way people have taken time out, wet evening, and come here to show their support for Westport House, its economic importance, its historical importance, and to the family. I came here way back in the 70s, and I remember as a young lad at the time, and the horse-drawn caravans coming in the road. And I will say, Lord have mercy, and Jeremy, he was battling for tourism before a lot of people didn't know what it was about. It was a 3 or 4 week season that time, and around the 12th of July to the 12th of August. Look at us today. And hopefully he's up there looking down on us, and I think he can be proud of where Westport is, West Mayo is, and where the county is regarding tourism. It's one of the main driving forces. 800 jobs alone in the hotel sector, part-time and full-time in the hotel sector this town. 800. Just think about that. As I said, €193 spent in the region by every visitor to Westport House. Some people might say, well, I'm not into tourism. Maybe you're not, but maybe your son is in college and maybe he's getting a bit of part-time work locally due to the tourism and development of it. And that's a sign of all the agencies in the town working together for a long, long time. Westport is up there. Best place in Ireland to live. Tidy towns working tirelessly all the time. It all helps. And all the agencies working together. The President of the Chamber of Commerce, who's beside me, Shirley, I want to thank for calling the meeting from the Westport Civic Trust. And I intend now to hand you over to Neil O'Neill, and during the meeting, if there's anything I can clarify, I will clarify. I just want to tell you a quick story, folks, and there's councillors here will support me in it. Yesterday, at the County Council meeting, we sanctioned a loan of $2.5 million for the new 25 metre pool in Castlebar. Says you, what's that got to do with Westport House? I'm just saying we sanctioned that just this evening. The department are providing 70% of the funding, and we council sanctioned another $2.5 million. I was there yesterday evening, and I suppose it will be very parochial. Here in the town we have Councillor Maguire and Councillor Mulroy and myself from the Old Town Council. That's where we cut our teeth, in the Town Council, where we were always told to the party politics outside. We did that. I think we're bringing that into the county as well, and in support of all the other councillors. But please tell that story. We will not be found wanting when this lands at the county council table. And believe you me, I feel it will. And I am confident that we're not going to lose Westport House. I'm a glass half full person myself, but I am confident that we won't lose it. I'd like to hand you over now to Neil O'Neill. Neil is the president of the local Chamber of Commerce, managing director of the Mayo News. And I want to thank him for his investigative journalism. Because there was rumours and innuendo going around this town and around this county about Westport House for a long time. Neil investigated the situation and brought it out there into the Mayo News in the public interest. I want to thank Neil for that. It put the rumours to bed and the innuendo to bed. And fair play to the Mayo News for informing us all and getting the facts and investigating the whole situation. I want to thank you for that. And now hand you over to Neil O'Neill.
Good evening, everybody. Well, I suppose that I'm not a politician and I'm not a spokesperson for the Brown family or for Westport House. I just think it's very important to make that very clear at the outset. I've been asked to speak here tonight because, as Christy said, there was rumours and murmurs going around. And on the back of the economic impact statement, I managed to sit down in a very long and frank chat with Sheila Brown at Westport House. And that's what led to the story that you probably would have been aware of in the Mayo News several weeks ago. Where she basically kind of, I suppose, for the first time laid it all out, what exactly was happening with the estate and with Nama. It's a very difficult situation that the family find themselves in, and that as a consequence the whole town here find itself in, because Westport House has been at the heart of Westport Town since Westport Town was founded. In fact, the two things are intrinsically linked. So to say it's a vital piece of infrastructure is really understating it. We've seen from the economic report what it's worth to the town and to the region. You know, they're estimating that it brings in somewhere in the region of €50 million in tourism spend to the whole wider Mayo and Western region. So that's something quite significant, and if anybody has a business in town, you can be sure that you get some spin-off from the presence of Westport House and what they do here. The Brown family have worked for, I suppose, the last 65 years tirelessly to make Westport House what it is today, and it's taken quite a considerable toil and investment over that time to do it. And the reality, as I understand it, is that it's very extremely difficult for a business like that to run profitably when it needs to constantly reinvest, even in terms of maintenance, development, and to remain relevant as a premium tourist attraction in the west of Ireland. And only now, as it's kind of turned that corner, they have found themselves in a situation where there are loans. And I think what's very important, it's a point I've been stressing, is that the loans weren't taken in a speculative fashion. Westport House would have closed years ago if those loans hadn't been taken, without doubt. The loans were taken to ensure that the house remained open. And in many ways, the Brown family have taken that burden on for the benefit of the entire region. And I think it would be remiss of the people in this community to turn their backs on them at this time. Now, that's my personal opinion, and it's one that I've been advocating for the last few weeks, because I've seen the relevance of Westport House, and I've seen the value of it to the entire region and to the entire area. I think it's an extremely important asset for every single person in this town, no matter what you do for a living. We have two major strands of life in this town: technology and tourism. One of them is Allegan and the other is tourism, and they each employ 1,000 odd people directly in the town, and that's 2/5 approximately the entire town's population, and that's including the hinterland. So it's a significant number of people that are dependent on tourism in this town. And we have a few tourism assets. We have the natural built environment, we have Croagh Patrick, and we have Westport House is a genuine premium tourist attraction in this country. 162,000 visitors a year come into Westport House, and that's an enormous number of people spending an enormous amount of money. And when you do the maths, so Christy said the 193 by 162,000, it adds up to 50.7 million, and that's where the figures in the report are coming from. It's great to see such community turnout here tonight, and I know I've heard some commentary over the last few weeks, and not everyone might just agree in principle with some of what's been said and some of what's been championed, but I think the bottom line here is what's really important is this is not about a personal debt. This is not about somebody losing their home. This is about a town losing its heritage, its culture, and about a community losing its single greatest asset for its single most important industry, which is tourism. The other side of the coin is that the family are in a place where they can't really say too much more. There's a process ongoing now. It has to be allowed to take its course. And they're I suppose, there's no really way to describe it. It's an extremely emotional time for them, and they are private people. They always have been, and they respect absolutely and appreciate the community support that they have received in the last number of weeks. And they are asking everybody, and they've asked me as well to respect that there's a process in motion and to see where it goes. And they can't predict that. They genuinely have no idea. Now, Christy's alluded to developments in the last few days, which are that we know that high-level talks have been going on in the background. We know that Minister Ring and the Chief Executive of Mayo County Council have been talking with Nana directly. We understand that the developments they are moving in a somewhat more positive direction, but genuinely the outcome of that could be anything. What's positive for one person might not be for the next, and nobody can preempt where it's going or where it might go. And I suppose it's important that none of us interfere in that process. And the Brown family have expressly asked that we don't interfere in that process. And I think it's been in their family for 400 years. They know the estate like nobody else, and they feel that it's best now to let due process take its course and see where it leads them and the rest of the community. And I suppose the reality is that the biggest impact on this will be on them as a family and where they go to next, because all they've ever known is Westport House. I mean, Christy talked to the late Jeremy Brown. He put his whole life into that estate. Everything he ever had went back into it. And the rest of the family have taken on that mantle now. But it's an extremely difficult thing to do, is to make it, to keep the doors open in Westport House. I think we should all be conscious of that. There are plenty of public facilities in this country that run at extremely high losses day in, day out. And because of the public service function in them, they're propped up by state intervention and by local authorities and the like. So it's what is important to also know is that there is some hope that Westport House can be safe from private ownership, and ultimately that's the goal. I don't think anybody in this room would like to see Westport House being closed and being in private ownership. It's happened to other historic homes in the country in the last few months and years, and it would be absolutely, genuinely a tragic loss for everybody in this room, for the whole community, for well, to me, for all the future generations. I can't imagine Westport House not having been a part of my life growing up, even from childhood things to all the other stuff that went on down there over the years. And it's an extremely important part of everybody's life in this town, whether you're actually thinking about that in that way or not. But it's also, there's an economic impact, and there's a personal impact, and I suppose in many ways a personal tragedy unfolded on a family here. So I think I'll hand you back to Christy now. That's pretty much all I have to say. Like I said, Shirley had asked me to speak because she knew I had been speaking closely to the family over the last few weeks. I'm not a spokesperson for them. I want to reiterate that. They haven't asked me to say anything in particular at all. They were aware the meeting was on tonight. They were very thankful for the support. And I explained to them that, well, the alternative is that people sit on their hands and do nothing. At least, it's limited what we can do as a group here. But by showing solidarity and support, that's a major plus. And also, I think, there's a show here that the community wants action on this, and influence on those in power who are leading the charge behind the scenes on the issue of Westport House. Okay, thank you.
There are some people, there's room on the aisle here on my left. There are some people who out in the hallway who would like to come in and maybe move. Okay. Neil, thank you for your contribution, and I really mean it when I said fair play to the Neil News. It was a tough call for the Neil News, that's my opinion, and they made it, and they got the information out to every one of us, and I want to thank them most sincerely for that. In my opinion, it's what good journalism is about. I will open it to the floor, and I would ask you to try and limit your contribution to 2 minutes. And as I say, I can't speak highly enough. The media are here this evening, the national media are here, and I can't say enough with the crowd of people that's in the aisles and in the seats here this evening that Westport is sending out a great message here this evening. And I want to thank you all on behalf of the District Council and all my colleagues on the Council. And I want to just say a sincere thank you for coming out and showing we do care, and we will care in the future too.
First of all, thank you for the presentations. You say that there are discussions going on at present between NAMA, the government and the council. Who will make the final decision? Is it a NAMA decision? Is it a government decision? Have you any understanding of who will make the decision? And how much time do you think remains before there is a decision? And my final question, what sort of money are we talking about in anticipation of being, to use the phrase, buying out NAMA, if that becomes an option? So it's who is making the decision, how much time, and what sort of money are we looking at?
In the main, those are questions that I, for one, can't answer. I don't think Councillor Hyland can either. I can tell you that the Project Arrow portfolio that NAMA put together is their biggest sale yet. It's worth 7.2 billion on book loans. They're selling for less than $1 billion, I believe. That's a significant knockdown on the price. I believe that if the state were to intervene, NAMA can invoke Section 411 of the NAMA Act, which allows them to take Westport House from Project Arrow and to basically take it away from open market rules, which the NAMA Act insists on. That would mean that Westport House loans wouldn't be subject to the same haircut that the Project Arrow loans would, because obviously you need to stump up a lot more money to buy the whole portfolio. And in terms of time, I think that we're talking in the next 3 months here that Project Arrow will have to be sold. So if Westport House is to be removed from Project Arrow, if that section of the NAM Act is to be invoked, it needs to be done fairly quick. My understanding is that there are discussions ongoing in that regard, and that is where they're leaning towards, is basically if they can invoke the Act, it buys time for who will buy it after that. That then is a discussion between the state and the local authority.
Just a supplementary on that. If the decision turned out to be unfavourable to us, using the phrase us in its widest sense, what options would be open to us? Would it be possible, for instance, to go for a High Court injunction to buy more time or to prevent NAMA from proceeding along the lines selling it to hedge funds or whoever. I'm just wondering what options have we, and what contribution can we make as individuals in supporting that action?
That's looking at the worst case scenario, and I believe that I call them vulture funds, actually, hedge funds, vulture funds, that they would then proceed to sell off the properties, and Westport House would be one of the properties. I will tell you as well, you're probably already aware, the Greenway is going through now, the Westport House, that was done this summer by the council. So, as I said, I don't want to say too much in case last thing I want to do here this evening is be accused that I damaged negotiations.
I just add to that, only a state or semi-state body can ask for that clause in the NAM Act to be invoked. So if everybody in here collectively could chip in to do this deal, we can't ask for the Act to be invoked in that way. That's the law. And I thought the way NAM was set up was to stop politicians interfering in the process. And that inadvertently has affected this here because it's so far down the road. Now, I don't know, but I think that conversations are talking to invoke the Act first of all, and then a subsequent discussion is how can we buy this debt.
Thank you. Maybe if we take a few speakers, and if there are questions that we may be able to answer, we should take a few speakers at a time rather than breaking for each speaker. I think would that be a good idea?
Micheál McGrail. I have done 4 surveys here in 87, 92, 2002 and 2012, and all of those surveys showed Westport House as one of the great attractions to Westport. So everything the recent report has said can be verified by surveys a way back. Also, I think we have to make a distinction between economic soundness and commercial profitability. We cannot judge Westport House on commercial terms. It's just like saying that how much money does the REIT earn? It's on that level. Also, I think essential to any agreement is the continuity of the Brown family. And I would recommend to people to read Dennis Brown's book on Westport House and the sacrifices they made to preserve it. And also Jeremy's, and many discussions with him. And I endorse everything you said, and particularly I compliment you for being here. But here is a moment, a crossroads in time. It's unique, it cannot be replaced. And I hold that the people of Westport should not let it be sold to anyone, only those that will continue to develop it in the best interests of Westport. It is a social, cultural and heritage, environmental heritage. And without it, Westport will be less attractive as a place. That's my honest view. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Donald O'Shea, Chairman of Westport Tourism Organisation, and I second everything that the Forum Grace said there and his excellent research that he's done over the years, that losing Westport House would be like losing Patrick out of Mayo, you know. And there's a strong desire these days, you know, to sell off our assets. You know, we got rid of Aer Lingus, and we got rid of the Lotto, and we got rid of, you know, Cleary's, and see what happened to that. So there was a famous writer here in Mayo one time, John Healy. He said he wrote a book called They Didn't Shout Stop. And I think it's time now that we shouted stop, you know, and not lose this very, very valuable asset we have, which is a major part of Mayo and a major part of tourism for this town. Thank you.
Anyone else? If you put up your hand, Henry will
Frank Gilligan. Just a point, it is at times like this we miss our town council. I think it's one of the biggest tragedies that has happened to Westport in the last couple of years. But moving on to that, I read today somewhere that our property tax that's collected in Mayo, 30% of it has been diverted to Irish Water. Westport pays the highest property tax in Mayo. I think if we divert it from Irish Water into the Westport House, we'll go a long way to helping us. Westport House is in our DNA. Westport spawned on the lawn of Westport House. The O'Malleys, the Burkes, the Browns, the Kellys, which our town is full of, came from the lawn of Westport House. We unveiled the Sentinel the other day in celebration of the best place to live in Ireland. And I think the turnout here tonight justifies that. And we want to continue it. And Westport House is part of the best place to live in Ireland. And we need to do everything in our power to keep it in the town of Westport. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
My name is Gerard Holland. I live 200 miles from here. I came to Westport in 1968. And one of the points that I would strongly make is that if you enter, as a lot of visitors do, sat-nav, and they put into it Westport, two things come up in it: Westport, County Mayo, and Westport Domain. And that's how important the actual Westport House is. That every tourist who comes to Ireland and uses a sat-nav, it automatically brings up two things before it brings up the street or the number or where you want to go. It's Westport, County Mayo, or Westport Domain. So I think I'm not from Westport, I'm married into somebody from Westport, but I think it's so important that everybody coming to Ireland who uses the sat-nav has two options. And that's how important it is to the economy of this area.
Good evening, Chairman. Michael Holmes is my name, Cahill, Mayo County Council. I'm delighted to be here, and first of all I want to compliment yourself, Christy, and your team there for organising this public meeting. But this is probably one of the most important meetings that has been held in Westport for a long time. I think everybody here knows the importance of Westport House. It's not alone Westport, but the whole West Mayo tourism area. And it was only a couple of weeks ago, maybe I mentioned it just before I came in, possibly, that the Mayo County Council commissioned a detailed report there on the value of the Westport House to the whole tourism thing. And the figure there being mentioned was something in the region of 50 million per year, per annum, to the whole tourism area. Now, this is a great public meeting, and it shows the solidarity that is there with the people, and that's great. But it's different, this public meeting. I have attended an awful lot of public meetings this last 40 years. In fact, I have organised a lot of public meetings. But this meeting is a good lot different in that we're not asking the people really to do anything. Normally you'd be trying to hype up the crowd to get involved or get behind the thing. This is a very sensitive situation. Now maybe there might be time down the road, hopefully not needed, for maybe even a bigger public meeting. But at the moment, as you, Christy and Neil has outlined there, it has to be handled very, very, very carefully. I brought it up at the County Council meeting yesterday, and the three councillors, yourself, Christy, and Councillor Maguire and Councillor Mulroy contributed. But as we outlined at the meeting, there was an awful lot of things that we couldn't discuss, we couldn't open up, and I think it is very, very important, and I know that everybody in this room is committed and the thousands of people that is not in this room is committed to the whole Westport House situation, and hopefully it will resolve itself. But as I say, we're walking on very, very thin ice here now, and we have to be careful how we handle it. And as I say, it's unusual. I have never been at a public meeting that you wouldn't be want to be jumping up and down and going for the jugular. This isn't the case here, at least not for the moment, hopefully not into the future either. But I think it is great to see the people turning out on such great numbers and the concern they have there, and rightly so, because as Neil has said there, I think tourism and Allergan to Westport is the two main activities in the town, and if anything were to happen either of them, we know the problem this would create, not alone for, as you have said there, not alone just for the town of Westport, but for all the areas right along the West Mayo coast. It is important, it is great to see the people turning out, it is great that the people are aware of the situation there. I personally believe deep down it will be resolved with people sitting down talking and reasonable people coming up with reasonable solutions and a bit of common sense coming into it. But it is maybe not a night for maybe asking awful awkward questions, and certainly not a night for answering them. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, as Cathaoirleach of the Mayo County Council. I want to thank you, and for yesterday as well, actually. And it's good, not putting in the spot, Mike, but it's good that you're the chairman and maybe from West Mayo here down the road at this present time. Thanks.
My name is Ilyas McNally, a local Westport man. I want to thank the committee for starters for organising this meeting here tonight, because it's obvious that it has massive support. We all want to see Westport House retained as it presently stands, where people are welcome to its doors at all times. I do, however, feel that over the years, continuously over the years, Irish governments, successive Irish governments, have contributed not just to the downfall of Westport House, but to other great houses in our state. Because in 1951, when the 8th Marquess passed away, in late 1952, when the 9th Marquess passed away, and when Dennis Brown died, this state demanded massive money from the estate on each occasion as death duty. Now, this came at a time when Westport House was trying to find its feet, and every time it was like a hammer blow. I don't know if people are aware of this or not, but this is what set them back each time. The last time this happened, they had to sell all the dairy cattle, sell all the stock off the land to pay the debt. Now, if we call supporting the Brown family in Westport House taking the money out of their pockets, I wouldn't have agreed with that. I don't know what the position is at the moment. Is there debt duty has been demanded now again? Because it's just not acceptable. If we want tourism, we have to support it, and we forget about this thing of tax and tourism. It's not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really need to say something. We came to Westport 47 years ago. Yes, 47 years ago. And I had the pleasure of working in Westport House for about 20 years. And it was the happiest time of my life. And I'm sure every child in Westport has worked in the house at some stage or other. But just something simple I wanted to say. And I want to thank the Brown family for all their support to each and every child that came into the estate and worked there. That's all I want to say.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak? Maybe just. I want to give you just one quick. We said there that the survey that was carried out from September 13 to September 14. That was a 12-month period commissioned by the Mayo County Council, and we talk about a figure of 50.7 million, which is generated in the region as a result of Westport House and the the spend on that. Think about this figure as well. 12.4 million goes back to the exchequer from that 50 million. 12 million goes back out of the whole 50 in taxes and other charges. 12 million, I think that's an interesting figure considering where we are, kind of money we're talking about. Anybody else that...
Christy Gerber here. As a concerned citizen here and living in this town for the past 15 years, my take on it is I believe we are living through at this moment in time the greatest transfer of wealth from ordinary working people to the super rich, the owners of capital. In essence, we're slaves to the corrupt form of society, what they call democracy. The politicians here all support this fine system we live in. We can't interfere in the market, as Michael Noonan and the three main political parties would have us believe. But yet here they are, saying the state should intervene now and buy Westport House. That's a load of rubbish in my mind. They know this, and I know they know that they can't or won't, because they believe in the principle of free markets. Did they do this for Lissadell House in County Sligo? No. It was sold into the hands of private individuals and access was closed off immediately, but contested by Sligo County Council at a cost of €7 million on our behalf, the taxpayer, you and me. The real truth lies in the fact the citizen, the taxpayer, the state on our behalf bailed out to the banks to the tune of 64 billion of our money to solve this crisis. 10 billion was given to the banks to sort out mortgage arrears. As you yourself say, it's like losing your own house. Westport House, what it is to the town, is like a man's private home. So Michael, if Michael Ring was here tonight, I was going to say to him, Michael, why are the banks not using our money to help the people in distress? NAMA is doing it for the rich buddies. Go over to Castlebar on the third Monday of every month and see what is truly happening in the Registrar's Court, or to the Repossession Court as I call it. Every month, over 100 repossession cases are held. There, the banks and vulture capitalists, as was mentioned earlier on, try to repossess assets, our people's homes, that they have already been paid for by the bailout. This is political. Truly, we need politicians with conviction who will stand up to these asset strippers and stand with the people whom our ancestors did 100 years ago to fight for what is right, not for what is the prevailing orthodoxy of the day, a vile form of neo-capitalism that is best described in Naomi Klein's book, The Shock Doctrine. I say, people, educate yourselves before you vote and entrust our future to failed political parties that are past their sell-by date.
Are there any examples of the laws being enacted already in
Sorry, I will get the speaker to you in a moment. There's someone now up at the back with the...
Thanks, Chairman. Brendan Mulroy, Westport. Chairman, first of all, I want to thank yourself, Shirley and Neil, for organising this meeting this evening. It's fantastic to see the turnout here this evening, and I was absolutely of no doubt whatsoever that the people of Westport would come out and support this. Born and bred in this town, spending 45 years in the streets of this town, growing up in Harkinsill, and sometimes having bonfires in Harkinsill and down in Westport House, doing stuff we shouldn't have been doing, and namely taking trees. We all lived through that. We all done that. So that was all part of your heritage and growing up. I've no doubt, and I agree a certain amount with the previous speaker. I think you made quite a few valid points, and I've absolutely no doubt about that. And I think there is a game of brinksmanship going on here, and I've no doubt that that is happening. But the last thing that any politician at this moment in time worth their salt, and has the interest of Westport at heart, if we went full Monty at this now and attacked NAMA and went for it, and Westport House is lost forever, I personally would like to see my name associated with that. So we're willing to give the government a chance to negotiate along with the country manager and put our faith in them. There's two ways of looking at that. We put our faith in them and it doesn't work out. Well, that's a totally different story. And the next meeting here will be a totally different meeting. You've got to put your trust in people, and I have no doubt that I can put through the chairmanship of Michael Holmes and leadership of Peter Hines on Mayo County Council. I put my trust in Minister Ring, a local man, a guy who wouldn't tell us lies, I'm sure. Absolutely not. I think across the political divide, that has to be said here tonight. And I think it's important that if he says his heart is in this and he's going to negotiate, I take his word for that. If it fails, we've all been led up the garden path. Let's be quite clear about that. We've all been led up the garden path. There's no point in going through the history of Westport House here with most people or everyone that's in this room. We all understand it. And if for no other reason, Chairman, for no other reason bar this, if we as the people of Westport and West Mayo stand back now and let whoever, whatever name you want to call them, sell Westport House to a private developer, all our grandkids and the future of Westport, we have let them down. But not alone have we let them down, we've let ourselves down. Because we've had the privilege and the pleasure of enjoying Westport House throughout the years. And believe me, we'd be damn poor citizens of Westport if we didn't put up a fight at this stage. Thank you.
Speaker over there, yeah.
I was just going to ask, are there any examples of the clause being put in action, and are there any examples of different properties being taken out of the NAMA sales? Are there any case studies around that we can look at what's happened to similar properties, and has this clause been invoked before?
The question has been asked, Red. I haven't got an answer to it. The question has been asked.
I'd imagine it has been enacted, Red. I just couldn't. I've asked that question of several people that should be in the know, and they're not forthcoming with answers. And I don't know why they're not forthcoming with answers, but I don't know is the answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it strengthen our hand if we
Yeah, if there's precedent, yeah, of course.
There is a section in the NAMA legislation that gives a way out in historical or local economic value. Shirley wants to speak to you in a moment.
I just want to say, I'm not a lawyer, and I haven't been able to find a lawyer who can give me advice on this, but I did read the Act as best I could on the internet, and I preferred that. I rang up somebody I know at the door, and they got back to me eventually and said they had talked to NAMA, somebody in NAMA, I don't remember who they said the name, somebody in NAMA, putting my question to them about that clause in the Act. And this person in NAMA said that it had been done by councils looking for a bit of land that was being sold in one of these bundles, or whatever they do, portfolios, that various councils have managed to extract things from NAMA for their purposes, for their communities, for development and so on. And the Act does say that it's for the social and economic development of the state, and that the minister, now it isn't just anybody, but it's the Minister of Finance, can give direction to NAMA, and NAMA shall comply with directions. Now, all the numbers and things that you have to look up, you go back to section this and paragraph that and so on. But it does say that it can be done. I mean, I don't quite know the ins and outs, because I haven't got a lawyer at my fingertips, and I know how lawyers work things out. They'll never as quite as what you expect them to be. But this is the message I got back from somebody in the door who had talked to NAMA, and they said there is a precedent for doing this. The question is, of course, there's a lot of money involved, and I don't know how the talks are going, and that's maybe exactly what they're working on at the moment. We don't know. And we could just wish them very good luck, that they actually have the right people on their sides, arguing the right courses for this.
Thank you, Shirley.
Christy, I'm just wondering, in the council, have you got a figure that is owed on this, or are we looking at maybe the council buying the loan of NAMA and giving the estate back to the Brown family? Otherwise, what's in it for the Brown family at the end of the day, who put so much work into this estate over the last number of years? You know, I mean, the council could end up with it. It's not much use to the Brown family. I mean, it's great for the town and everything. But, you know, is it something like buying this loan and maybe giving it back at a low interest rate to the Brown family? could it be dealt with that way? Do you think? Is this something you're looking at? Or like, you know, who's going to fund this estate over the next 10 or 20 years? Because obviously it costs money. It's not making enough to keep itself viable at the moment.
Yeah, Jerry, thanks for your contribution. Trying to say something and say a little at the same time. The state are going to have to come in and put the money on the table, X amount, and that will come then to the county council. As to the running of it, negotiations that have to go on there about the running of the estate, if it ends up with the OPW or National Heritage Council of Ireland, they could come on board. And regarding the running of the estate, then that's, I'd say, that we have to be discussed.
I mean, like, is that something that the Brown family are in talks with the council with at the moment? Like, I mean, if that can't be mentioned, that's fine. But like, I don't see where buying the estate by the council is. And I'm not here to talk with the Brown family, but I don't see where that's of much use to them. You know, unless it's handed back to them, which I think it should be.
Okay, Derek. I understand where you're coming from, but all that is under negotiation at the moment, and that's all I can say on it. The state come in and the department gives X amount of millions, could end up into the county council, or they're going to come on board as well, and all that's going to have to be teased out. That's the way I would see the situation developing.
Sure, just I'm not going to pretend I know anything more than I'm saying here, which I don't, you know, but I think, you know, from asking people questions over the last few weeks, what I understand is that, you know, there's maybe two separate issues here. There's the issue of the Brown family who put their whole life into the estate, and there's this issue of the estate itself. And I think all options are being looked at and on the table, as I understand it. And I would genuinely hope, and I agree with your sentiments about the Brown family completely, I would genuinely hope all options are being looked at on the table. The management or running of it going forward, if the state do intervene with the loans, is a totally separate issue. As far as I understand it, the way the negotiations are going, their priority now at the minute is to get it out of Project Arrow, to buy some time, and then look at all the options that could come down the line. But the Brown family's future in this, it's intrinsic to it, because it's been in their family for 400 odd years, and it's not a simple thing of somebody, you know, losing a loan going into default. It's not about that at all. I would hope that whatever the future Westport House is, that the Brown family are in that as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, we'll get the microphone up to you. Peter Shelley here.
I don't think I need one. Councillor Mulroy made a very good point, and he said we can't even contemplate coming back here should these negotiations fail. They can't fail. I would love to see NAMA try and put Muckra's house and estate up for sale and see how the Kerry people react to it. This is as vital a part of the tourist infrastructure in the whole west of Ireland as Kylemore is to Connemara and Muckra's is to Kerry. It wouldn't be tolerated. It's outrageous that a critical part of our heritage, our history, and our economic infrastructure is being put up for sale to an anonymous hedge fund, God knows profit by some anonymous individual, God knows where. It doesn't bear contemplation. I think what mustn't be forgotten here is that the hedge funds we're talking about will be buying from NAMA, but the state owns NAMA. Who owns NAMA? It's the state. So I don't think we can contemplate any failure by the state to deliver on this. They own NAMA. And let's get that straight. We're not going to accept any decision back in this room at another stage to find out, oh, very sorry boys, we did our best. There is no other result other than the state instructing NAMA to do the right thing. It just doesn't bear contemplation. It's an outrageous situation.
Thank you.
Peter, I for one agree with everything you just said there, and I think that's the message that needs to come out of this room tonight, is that the community is making just that point, that these negotiations cannot fail. They have to yield a result for Westport House and for the town, for the Brown family and whoever else is involved. But you're right, the people at Kerry would revile at the thought of Booker's House being sold, the same way the people anywhere else would at the thought of their heritage being sold down the garden for a song. And you're quite right in what you said, but I think the point of the public meeting is to emphasise that point to those who are in the negotiations, and that message will come out of this room tonight, that the people of Westport and the community of Westport are adamant that these negotiations cannot fail.
Just to say, Peter, I agree with you 100%, and just at the outset, at the beginning of the meeting, I said I'm a glass half full person, and I am, and I don't think. And some people might say I'm crazy. No, I'm not crazy, but it can't happen. And put my head on the line, it won't happen. It just can't happen. As you said, Peter, it can't, because we're looking at the historical family and the local economy. And there's another figure there, 1,724 jobs in the region as a result of people visiting Westport House. That's 1,724 in the region, as well as the spend of €193 per day by people who visit the house. Not all 193 in the house, some of you that weren't here for that. Some of that is spent in the local town or in the county. So think of the economic importance. It can't go. 1,700 jobs in the region benefit as a result of Westport House. And my God, we're talking about creating employment nowadays. It can't go, no, and I don't believe it will go. Unless, let's speak about that.
Sorry, Chairman, thank you. Councillor Lisa Chambers, last here at the Mayo County Council. Just to firstly commend yourself and Neil and Shirley for organising this meeting tonight, and to concur with the other speakers as well. In terms of the local authority and the County Council, we are fully behind you, we are fully supportive. And talk about Kerry not tolerating Muckers House being taken. We will not tolerate Westport House being taken from us, because every single one of us has grown up with that house. Every single one of us has been over there with our families more than once. And it is part of our heritage, it is part of our culture, and it is part of the tourism infrastructure of this county. It is not just valuable to Westport, it is valuable to the entire county. In terms of the stages that we're at, Christy is right and all the other speakers are correct. We are at a sensitive stage, but sensitivity does not mean that we stay quiet. Far from it. The media are here today. This message needs to go out loud and clear that we mean business. We are not going to stand by and let that be taken from us. It will not go into public ownership. And it is okay to talk about it. Negotiations are ongoing, but this show of strength here tonight, these huge numbers here tonight, are exactly what needs to go out from this meeting, that we will not let Westport House be taken from us. And I want to commend the Brown family, who are going through an absolutely terrible time at the moment, and I can't imagine what they're going through. And they've been so forthcoming with discussing this issue and allowing the public to support them and coming on board with us. And I don't think that can be underestimated, the difficulty that has been to go with that. In terms of the stages that we're at, yes, we need this asset to be taken from the NAMA loan book. There's difficulties with that because we're all aware the County Council probably cannot on its own afford to buy Westport House and the grounds. We need the state to stump up the money, which they can if they want to. And it's small change in terms of the state, but it's a massive amount of money for the local authority. The Chief Executive has given assurances that he is more than willing to enter into negotiations in some form in terms of financial support, but we are not capable of meeting the entire amount. We need state help for this. So in order to take it out of the loan book, there needs to be a commitment from government to not just take it from the loan book, but to also put the money there to support it financially and actually buy it out. And in terms of the Brown family's involvement, that goes without saying, that has to be part of it. So, as Councillor Monroy pointed out earlier, this meeting is a positive one in one way, because it's bringing us all together to say we're on a common goal, we know what we're here for. And if we have to come back again because negotiations have broken down, it will be a different meeting. But I hope that we're not back here again. I think the meeting here tonight will send a message loud and clear that those at that negotiating table, that our Minister, that our local TVs, they need to get the job done on this. It's in their hands. All of us here today, somebody mentioned legal proceedings, putting on my lawyer hat, that's not the route to go, and it's not something that we as citizens can really do. It would have to come from the owners of the property to try and injunct the bank, and that's really not the direction we want to be going down. We can stop that. We can stop that. Our local TDs and the Minister can issue a direction to take that from the loan book, the state can purchase it, the local authority can come on board, and it can become part of the tourism infrastructure. The social and economic development of the state is a term that's used in the legislation. That can be interpreted very generally if there's will to do so. That's my experience. So it can be done, Chairman. I, like yourself, am an optimistic person. I think that we will see a positive outcome. But it is so important that we're all here tonight, because if there wasn't the local interest in it, if the people didn't come together and show people power, it could be a different situation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Are there a few more speakers? I'm conscious of time.
I just have one question. Is there anything we can actually do? I mean, we're here showing our strength, but is there anything we can actually do as the people of the town to show our support and solidarity for Westport House?
I don't think there is anything we can do at this point in time regarding the negotiations, but I really think we did a lot this evening, because I got phone calls today, some people in the media, will there be a crowd, will there be a crowd? I said, I put my head on the block, I said, there will be a crowd. I said, the place will be jammed. That's sending out a message, and it's sending out a message to at the highest level in government, with the people that turned out here tonight. This town hall theatre is full here tonight, and the people of Westport and the region and the surrounding areas, they've all come together, and I think the message that's going out from here tonight, that is the big message. We're standing four square with Westport House and the family, and we're standing for our local economy, we're standing for Mayo. And the jobs. These jobs didn't come down from the sky over a long time, for the past 40 years, with people working together and all the organisations working together. That's why Westport is a good town. And the Sentinel that was unveiled last Friday, someone made a derogatory comment about it, but my answer to them was, in 30 years' time I don't think I'll be alive, but the children in the national schools will be given homework. Research the Sentinel, see what it's about. In 30 years' time, those kids will be in the school and they will be writing, doing their homework, talking about Westport, voted the best place to live in Ireland. It is the best place to live in Ireland. The tiny towns have brought us what Kerry is to San Maguire, they are to the tiny towns. All the organisations work together. And we are all here in force this evening. And we're sending out a message loud and clear. Because I've no doubt I get phone calls, and some of you people will get phone calls with so many others. How would we be if there was only 30 or 40, 50 people here? The message is going out. The media are here. And the message is going out that Westport cares. And we do care. And we care about the Brown family. And we care about our economy. And we care about the jobs and the tourist jobs. The people of Westport and the surrounding region created a lot of these jobs. There's no doubt about that. With the development of the tourism product. The town council was mentioned here, 9 town councillors at that time, part of politics. That's the first message I got when I went in there. And there's good few of them here this evening, there's nice former members here this evening. And part of politics and work for your town. That's what we did. And we're all going to do this here tonight as well. What can you do? Get onto your local, you're the national representatives, you're elected members. Don't hesitate. Say this is not going to happen. And it won't happen. Because Westport and the region and Mayo cannot allow it to happen. As Peter says, and Lee mentioned it as well, if Kylemore Abbey was up for sale, or Mucker's House, the people at Kerry, they wouldn't tolerate that. The people at Galway wouldn't tolerate it. And we sent out the message this evening, we're not going to tolerate this. So we've got to get the right together, and get the ducks in a row, and get the job sorted, and get it done very quickly.
Dr. Des Kelly, when you started, you mentioned that the debt was being sold at 15%. So if you take the debt on Westport House, and you want, the NAM is only going to get 15% of it anyway, by selling it to any our group. So they're only going to get 15% of the debt. And we were asking them to make an exception And the amount of money that the state will lose will be very small. 15%, 1/7. So I think we should keep that in mind. Thank you.
I have one final thought on that, and I just want to say as well that as a local person, I'm very heartened by the turnout here tonight and the show of solidarity. And the previous speaker asked, is there anything people can do? And the truth is that this is an issue that's far beyond the reach of anybody in this room. And the people who can deal with it say they are now trying to deal with it, and we can only take them at their word on that and hope that they're successful in that endeavour. But as far as I can see, and I agree with Des Kelly, like, this is an agency of the state who's acted with total impunity over the last few years, and I've experienced that firsthand. And I've no problem saying that. I've put it on record in the Mayo News on several occasions. Some of the stuff that I've seen going on is just outrageous. But there's no talking to these people, so nobody in this room can interfere or do anything in that process. I think from having previous conversations with members of the Brown family that they will be very heartened by the turnout here tonight. It's a huge show of public support from right across. I see people in this room that, from right across the community, from various types of jobs and different things, and people who've come here just to show a genuine goodwill with their presence, and that's all we can do is show solidarity in our presence. But it is very heartening for me in particular to see all the people here tonight, and I'm sure that the family will take great solace from that. And I want to thank everybody for showing up and doing that for them.
Tom King, Clube Cruises. I just like to put it on record here. Thank the Browns for all the advantage we've had in the cruise business using Westport House and Grand Whale and all that goes with it. It will be a terrible pity to see that lost. So, Christy, do your job. Thank you.
Shirley has the email addresses of all the members of the Oireachtas, the relevant Minister for Transport, and all the Taoiseach emails. But look, you can get those on the websites anyway, and I encourage send them in, put a few notes on it, and send them in. We have a contribution, I think, from Councillor Teresa Maguire. Teresa, thanks.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And just like the other speakers, I'd like to say thank you to you and to Shirley and to Lee for organising and facilitating this meeting tonight. Like Brenda Mulroy, born and bred on Mill Street, I did my boldness down on Bamboo Island when it was a forbidden territory. I earned my keep when the horse show was on the lawn of Westport House. But the feeling I feel tonight is, well, there's a couple of feelings, and those who know me will know that I'm heart-led rather than head-led. So all the numbers and all that, they are very important, but I'm not left-brain dominant, I'm right-brain dominant. But the very important thing tonight is the unity of spirit. And the unity of spirit that Westport says no. And there's nothing more powerful than the power of the heart moving through the head with people. And it's very heartening to see the number of people here tonight and the energy and the synergy that's here. And I applaud you, Cahill, because it's not easy to come in and be the face of elected representatives when it's all being thrown. But I think your comments at the outset were very important, that this is a delicate situation, but at the same time, we don't sit back and literally wait. We need to get up, we need to make our voices heard, we need to speak. And I think your point of, contacting the people who matter is what's important. The thought that struck me is, it is, I know, all about economics at one level, but it's also about our heritage, it's about who we are. It's about the lateness of the coming together of the segregation that was into a newness that is the whole of Westport, that made Westport the best place to live in. And I think all of us have an incredibly powerful duty of care to ensure that our voices are heard. There's nothing more frustrating, there's nothing more annoying than when something is long over, somebody saying, I wanted to say that and I didn't say it. Now is the time to speak or forever be silent. Like, quote your own favourite phrase, Cahill, let there be no hurlers on the ditch in this one. You're either in with it, or you're, like as the kids say, you're against it. So now is the time to speak. And Westport says no. Like, there's no more simpler line than that. Westport says no. But thank you, Cahill, and thank you, Shirley, and thank you, Neil, for convening me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, is that on? My name is Philip Murphy. I am a blow-in. I've only been here 2 years. But I can remember back many, many years spending many happy times with my family camping in Westport House. So it means a lot to me. But in answer, or perhaps a contribution to the question that was asked as to what can we, the people, do about this, it strikes me that this has now gone into the realms of politics. This is in the hands of the politicians. And I think the message should go out from here that get this right, lads, because there's a general election coming.
Last speakers, please.
Joe Gibbons. The people down the south, when they were threatened by the high voltage cables, put up signs all over the place. And I think we should erect signs all around Westport to the effect that Westport says no.
Come on. Thank you, Jim. I think Liam Lyons wants to say a few words here. If we could get a microphone down to Liam. And Miles Staunton, you want to say a few words? Get a microphone over to you. Liam, it's your...
Where's the mic?
Thanks.
Oh, there, thank you. Yes, I'm afraid I haven't an answer about the financial side of how this can be sorted out. And there are other people that's probably in a better position to do that. I'm just talking about the awful loss it would be if the Brown family weren't in Westport House, because the history would be forgotten in years to come of what the Brown family did for Westport during the famine. They brought in a shipload of food into Westport to feed the starving people, and at the same time in Jamaica, Lord Howe was freeing the slaves in Jamaica, which was all done in the name of Westport. And then the other very strong historical point is there's a direct line connection with Clear Island and Granawale and the Atmans. He's descended, Lord Jeremy was descended from Great Somalia. It's a long way back, but it's a strong connection. And those things would be forgotten if other owners didn't care about the history of Ireland and of Westport House. That would be very sad. I hope it will never happen, because I've had a very strong personal relationship or friendship with them through my working life. I was accommodated so well by them always. I was born and reared in the Kew Road, and the main wall was right across the road from me. And of course, young fellas, we always wanted to climb and become Tarzan and all these things. And I spent a lot of youth up on those trees across from our house in the Kew Road. But then I remember then when Lord Sligo opened to the public, and he had the first tour coming in, Americans, a bus tour, and he contacted me to come down and take photographs on this occasion. I came down, and I remember he was standing in the front of the group of the Americans, and there was an American lady, and she was standing beside him. She said to me, "Imagine a real live lord." And from that on, I spent an awful lot of time at Westport House doing the promotional photographs for various ideas that Jeremy would get. Something like he said in his book the night he woke up and he said, "Jennifer, I have it." Something, a rabbit, a pink rabbit. And she said, "Don't you go back to sleep." But that was another one of his many tricks, you know. I was on call really there, just like Ali was on call for his skills. But I was on call so many times for all kinds of ideas that Jeremy would get. He was full of all the time promoting the area of Westport. And I do sadly miss him and miss all the family. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Could you mic over here to the door? Mic.
Thank you, Chairman Miles Staunton. I was going to say this was a really amazing meeting because I misheard Liam there when he talked about the boat bringing in a shipload of food. I thought he had said something else. Liam being a gentleman, that would not be the case. No, Chairman, there's been a lot of talk about the history of Westport House, and just to maybe talk a little bit about the contemporary and the modern contribution that the House has made to Westport. In my time as a town councillor, I was there for 10 years, and any initiative which the town council brought forward, when we asked for the assistance of Westport House, it was always there in a very tangible way. And I remember when we were running the campaign for the whole Smarter Travel at the very beginning, we wrote out to every organisation for a letter expression of support. And I remember receiving a phone call from Sheila Brown, and within the next day she had an eloquent letter down to us, which went into the submission to the government department. And it did have an impact that Westport House was fully supportive. Now that's just one tangible example of what the Brown ladies have done in recent times. Because we all talk about Westport being a great town to live in and all of that. And it's a contribution by all facets of our community. But Westport House in the last 10 years have really become part of that. I don't think Westport would be winning all these awards and all of that if it wasn't for the contribution of the Browns and their team down there. And we can talk about Project Arrow and Project Arrows and NAMA, and you read it every day in the paper, and these kind of projects come and go. But you need to remember that we are talking about a family here, and a family who have recently lost their dad. So they're still going through chronic grief of all of that. And then with this issue coming on top of them, the stress must be enormous. So it is complicated. From many talks and listening to people, there is a lot going on behind the scenes. But I think Finola asked a good question. What can we do? What people can do is your presence. And that might sound a little bit cliched, a bit phony, but it's actually not. One speaker up there talked about there is an election coming up. But whether there was an election or not coming up, the people of Westport, and everybody knows the community in Westport who've come here in their numbers tonight, that has an impact in itself. Because on a personal level, it gives the Browns a clear indication that the Westport people are standing by them in their hour of need. But secondly, if there's pressure on for the right decisions to be made by the right people, they will know firmly what the view of the town of Westport is. And Westport is a very well-respected town anywhere you go, as you all know. But in political circles, it's extremely respected. Because towns all over the country are envious of all the awards and all that. That's what they're doing. So with this, I think it's easy to say, but I think time will be very interesting with this. I think the right people, if they do get their hands with this, I would have faith in them to make the right decisions. And I just say, with the Brown family, I think our presence here, actually, everybody here is doing something very worthwhile tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Are we okay? The speaker here.
Uli Kang. I'd just like to say, when my son was 3, 4, 5 and 6, he sat on the train with Pete Towers, whose wife is down there, Tiny Kelly. My son is now 21 and he drives the train. Last week when he came home from Sligo, from his college, he said to me, and he read the main news, he said, "Man, will I have a job next year in Westport House?" I said, "I don't know, Michael, I'm not sure." But it's very heartening to hear all the comments and see what's going on here tonight. And if Westport does say no, I'm hoping I can tell Michael that, please God, next year he will have a job in Westport House.
Chairman, a lot of things said here tonight about Westport House. Unlike Teresa Maguire and Wendy Roy, I didn't have to climb on my walls to get into Westport House because I was born and reared in Westport Domain. And I have good fond memories of Lord Alfred and Lord Sligo and all of the Brown family. And I too would like to see them waiting on in Westport House, but that's all I'll say about that at the moment. we were never in a better position than we are here tonight. We have Michael Ring here, who said he was fully committed to this project. And we have the Taoiseach over the road into Kennedy. He's the one that has the power. I mean, Michael Noonan is Minister for Finance. When it comes down to government level, for them to do something, into Kennedy can call the shots. And I think we should either send a letter to him as a result of tonight's meeting, pointing out what happened and what we looking for his support. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda McCormick is my name. Just, we're talking about things maybe that we could do, and I thought the gentleman who mentioned the posters of support was actually a very good idea. The other thing I'm conscious of is that there's a fantastic turnout tonight. There are a lot of people who would like to be here but couldn't be here, and I'm wondering, is there any possibility, you know what they say, visuals are very important, you know, to politicians and to process, and I was wondering if it would be possible to set up some sort of book of support or somewhere that people could sign in to show their support. Because I know a lot of the time when people arrive at departments and they've 25,000 signatures or whatever, it's the very factual, very concrete number of votes that can be seen in people's signatures. And I'm just wondering if there any way that there could be something like that maybe here in the town hall, that just people who couldn't be here tonight but would like to show their support could sign and become part of that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Ryder, and luckily enough I don't think many people in here even know me because I'm awfully nervous about public speaking, but tonight I just felt like I couldn't not say this. I work with children all day. I'm going to imagine you're a gang of 5-year-olds because it makes me feel way easier to talk like this. But anyway, moving along, I'm going to keep it brief, which is also not my strong point. So, the kids that I work with, Westport House has come up because we normally go on many a trip down, a group excursion down to Westport House for summer camps, whatever, Halloween, whatever. They were asking and talking about this summer and even this Halloween camp coming up, will we be going? And one kid actually piped up that he heard that Westport House mightn't be anymore because his mum and dad, he overheard some discussion. And you're talking about like our futures, these little kids sitting there. There was actually about 24 kids sitting on cushions in front of me going, is that true, Sharon? And I was like, how do I answer this? Because I'm not into politics. I'm sorry, I know that makes me sound like, I just don't understand it. I have my own good qualities, and I'm not very good with the whole political side. And I said, well, look at guys, you know, whatever is happening, hopefully Westport House will stay in Westport and in the Brown family, because they were like looking, and they said, I don't understand if people let us go to their house and have so much fun, and they put in all these things for us to have fun. How could it be a thing now that people aren't they just being like Mr. Greedy? And I'm standing here and I just can't get that out of my head. The kids are actually like, they're putting the rasher on the sandwich there. They're saying, is it all about like being greedy at this stage, that like this family that has put their heart and soul into providing this amazing place for every person sitting here, I'm sure, has some kind of memory from their childhood, be it, you know, Pinky Rabbit as it was, or, you know, the lake and the flume and all that kind of thing. It's just, even the kids can see that this is absolutely wrong, that we're even at this point. And that's all I have to say, I think.
Thank you. College, some of them are getting married. We'll give a microphone over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to say I've heard you mention so many times, the speakers tonight, we're in the best place to live in Ireland. And when the Irish Times came to announce that to us, where did they go? To Westport House. We all had a fantastic day down there, and they valued what Westport House was to this community, as we all do by our presence here tonight. So I would like to acknowledge the Browns for having us there for that wonderful occasion. And it will be mentioned for many times in the future as being the best place to live in Ireland, and the contribution of Westport House to that is unmeasurable. Thank you.
Christy, just a very brief word. A lot of been said already tonight, and I would agree with most of what has been said from people around the room. I can assure you the town manager wouldn't be sleeping well in his bed at the moment. And I also can assure you something would be done directly by the town council, and they would take the initiative on. So I know we're talking about national politicians, but in 3 months' time, who knows who'll be at the table. And a lot can happen between now and then. But I do think it's a huge onus on the Executive and the County Council to play a very, very significant role in that. And that message needs to come from from the meeting here tonight. We have a template in Mayo and around the country where local authorities have taken an active role, be it wholly or just partly. In Mayo alone, we have the Westport House, which Mayo County Council bought a number of years ago, and is now one of the finest establishments in the country, let alone the county. We have the recent example where Mayo County Council himself took a stake without getting directly involved in Knock Airport, and again that has proved a great success. So there, in my view, a couple of small examples of where the local authority, if they do the right things and work the right way, this can be done very, very simply and very effectively. Westport Town and Westport House have been intrinsically linked over the years. It's probably safe to say we've never had a better relationship with the house and the family, and the numbers of people who are here tonight says it all. We're in a building where it's a community building brought by the people, and it's a credit to everybody involved. And I think something like this, can be done from Westport House point of view. And I would really appeal to yourselves as the local representative and to the Mayo County Council executive to do the right things over the next number of weeks to make this happen. Thank you.
Just one more speaker. You're okay. Thank you for turning up this evening. I just also might just enlighten you that yesterday evening at the County Council meeting, I did say to the CEO, County Manager Peter Hines, to do an audit on all the property that's owned in Mayo by Mayo County Council. That was after the $2.5 million being sanctioned. Some of you might have not been for the pool in Castlebar by the County Council, because Mayo County Council do own quite an amount of property, and I think it'll be very interesting if he comes back with the audit on it. And just to say, listen, we sent out a message here this evening. We will not let the trail go cold. I feel that we will be back here in the next few weeks, and it's too important to the family. We care about the family, but we also care about our economy here and jobs. And we're hearing about job creation. We have jobs. We'll create more jobs by developing the tourist product and the Greenway going up to Perth and all that, all the organisations and the people who are working together. And do what you have to do, folks, in meaning that get on your emails and on your phone with 4 members in your office here in Mayo. Get onto them, and there's power in people power. And I think the pensioner showed that a number of years ago, actually, in the church in Dublin. People power. So do what you have to do. I certainly, with all the councillors involved, we will we'll do our level best. But I do hope that Westport House will not end up in private ownership. And even if the hedge funds, the worst case scenario, the hedge funds, virtual funds came in and bought it, they have to sell it then, wouldn't they? And I said, about other things, the Greenway, etc., going through it. Not that simple.
9 o'clock, I just want to let everybody know that Shirley has led the charge on organising this meeting, and a lot of credit has to go to her. Also, I want to thank Rose and her team here at the Town Hall. I think it's a very appropriate venue for what is a very important public meeting, and it's a great use of this community facility. So thanks, Rosie, and everybody. I want to say that I will be keeping fully top of this story in the Mail News over the next few weeks and months, and no stone will be turned to Westport House. I will find out about the pertinent information back to people.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you very much, everybody, for coming. My head would be on the block if you hadn't turned up. Thank you, Christy, for chairing, and Neil for the information that you provided during these weeks for us. Rosie and management for giving us the hall for free, and for hanging on so late. Thank you very much indeed. James and Paul for the mics. And Elaine for passing the mics up and down. And the little shop next door, Good News, who printed nearly all the leaflets, not all of them, but nearly all of them free for me. And a couple of hotels, Atlantic Coast and the Westport Woods, when I was running out of leaflets, printed some more for me. So there we are.
So I was just to finish up, Peter Linda mentioned about the signing petition. We will talk, a number of people signed in coming in the door, and you can sign in now on the way out as well, but we will talk to the people here in the Town Hall to see could we leave a book here over the next number of weeks, and regarding signing. Shirley has some email addresses here as well that she will pass out, and no doubt we will be back here. Some of you listened to me at the beginning of the meeting, and I can't emphasise this enough. It's the power of the press. Rumours and innuendo went on for years here now about Westport House. I want to say to Neil O'Neill and his staff in the Mail News for engaging in serious investigative journalism that put a stop to the rumours, a stop to the gossip, and we did there, and yet a lot of places to get the information got in the public interest to give it to us. And I want to thank the local papers sincerely. Give them that.